Gabby, you've called in amazing women in the Las Comadres community.
Oh my god, yes, Jamie.
I want to know more about how they made it.
Yes, right? They're real stories. Where the idea for their business came from, how they invested in it, how they got their clients.
I think this is a podcast.
Well, fairy godmother, you're hosting it.
Do you dream about me?
Looks like we're live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Las Comadres lunch break. It's an amazing space that we've created for the public to experience some amazing women that we have in our community, our membership community of Las Comadres, where we come together every weekday at noon to share insights and knowledge on different topics that are very important now with a lot of issues that we're facing, but also important in general for women leading busy lives and who need advice and help and support. We have everything under one roof here. So we're super excited today. We're going to be talking about how to stay grounded while having the kids at home. This has been a really big topic these days. Everyone's been asking about it. Everyone's been venting about it online. So we're super excited to have our amazing panelists with us today. We have Allison Yanni of Wisdom of the Body. She's a healing facilitator, spiritual coach, and wellness educator. We have Barbie Zuniga Ward, who is the co-founder of 12 Skies Tech, a software development company, and of Awkward Letters Co. She homeschooled her 4 kids who are now 32, 30, 21, and 19. We have Myra Martinez, who is the founder of Our Stars Project, which is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to motivate, inspire, and celebrate deserving youth to shine in the community. And lastly, but not least, we have Linda Garcia, who has been a Miami-Dade public school teacher for 15 years and also works with families both in and out of school to locate resources and build confidence to succeed. So ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing panel of women. So this is meant to be a conversation for you as well out there, audience. So if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to chime in on or any concerns, just please go ahead and comment and we will definitely filter those questions. So ladies, we always like to kick off our community conversations at Las Comadres with one very important question, which is, what's one thing you're grateful for right now? So who would like to kick us off? What's one thing you're grateful for right now? Allison, would you like to?
I'm going to just say the morning. I am grateful to just start over every day, even though the days feel like a blur and they just feel like one cohesive chunk. The fact is, like, the sun rises, and with that there's new breath, new connection, new opportunity.
Yes, yes.
I'll go if you want.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. So honored and glad to be here with everyone. I am grateful for time. I think that this time, although not in the way that we would have liked, is very necessary, at least for me. I got really tied up in the day-to-day rat race and going, and I didn't realize how much I needed to kind of just take a minute. So I'm very grateful that throughout the madness, I have the ability and the opportunity to take some time to just be.
Yes, absolutely. Barbie, would you like to?
Yeah, I am grateful, I would say, for my relationships right now. I think that I'm thankful that over the years, there's been investment in that area. And I think that on the other hand, there's things that could be better with relationships always, but I'm just really thankful that there's a giving and a taking and just a thing happening right now relationally with a lot of people, and that makes me happy.
Awesome. And Myra, we're sharing one thing we're grateful for today. All the ladies just went, so you're the last one.
At this point, I'm grateful that I was able to get into this chat.
Right.
Zoom was testing my patience So, but if that wasn't an issue, I would be grateful for that I have a home to stay in and during this time, because not a lot of people can say that. So I'm grateful to wake up to a home and be safe and have my health.
Yes, absolutely. And we will overcome the technical monsters, especially during this time where we're connected.
Oh, that was a test. That was a test.
Yeah. So here we have real working moms on this panel. We have real business women who are out there making changes, transforming lives, and who actually live it day to day. So this is a great conversation about how to stay grounded while having your kids at home. So recently was announced that schools will be officially closed until May 1st. So that gives us some more time with the kids at home. And there's been a lot of, conversation about it. The governor thinks schools shouldn't be necessarily closed because he's seen the research from other countries where not closing schools hasn't caused any numbers to go up with the virus. Some experts are saying that long-term closures of schools, more than 8 weeks, is going to cause more issues, not only like logistically, but also, with the families at home, with the more, expenditure of like time and effort and everything that goes with having the kids at home for the working parents. So, and then we have people like Mrs. Bateman from the National Federation of Teachers, who's talking about virtual learning and how it's been really difficult for teachers to gather their kids together online to actually give the class. So there's been a lot of hurdles and challenges. But, on a more practical level, on a day-to-day level, we have moms who are just wondering, how do I stay grounded? How do I get through this? How do I navigate this time? And so that's why this panel is so important, to just kind of shed light and give an extra fresh breath of air to these women who may just be almost pulling our hairs out, trying to figure out what we do, So let's just get down to business. So what do you think as far as parents at home being faced with the challenge of actually either having to homeschool their kids or create that environment of learning while also trying to manage their business or their work life and also trying to maintain the family? Anything comes up for anyone that wants to kick off the conversation?
She has to unmute.
Sorry, I have something right off the bat as far as homeschool. And that is that it's really important for parents to understand that you don't have to recreate the school environment at home. This is not official school transplanted to your house where you now have to have that same environment. Homeschool is something that is extremely creative and extremely individual. And so at the same time, honestly, right now with what's going on, you're not really homeschooling either. This is not like you've set up and thought about it and bought curriculum and decided how you're going to teach your kids, what your schedule is going to be. This isn't a normal homeschool situation either. So you're really dealing with a hybrid of trying to survive and stay calm and stay peaceful for your kids, hoping they get some kind of knowledge growth, and doing the dishes. So it's I right off the bat, I would say somehow there needs to be different terminology applied. It's not homeschool and it's not school at home. It's something very unusual. So cut yourself a little slack. Right now, just breathe and just relax a little bit, because you're not meant to be a teacher and you're also not living in Little House on the Prairie kind of situation. Okay, you're finding your way. So I think that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I agree with Barbie in this. I homeschooled my kids as well for about 3-4 years. The distinction right now is this is distance learning. Because homeschooling, even if you were doing Miami-Dade County or wherever you are, homeschooling through their virtual system, there's a different system, because right now, if the children are scheduled to be on Zoom, that's where they need to be, versus if you were homeschooling and doing some virtual, there'd be flex time in the day. And there's a distinction of what's going on here. So each school and each classroom is completely different. But one of the first things is, number one, every single parent gets to understand that, like Barbie said, this is it's not the same. But first of all, you set the routine. Every home gets to set their routine, whether it's we have breakfast as a family or, you know, everybody does whatever they want. But really what it comes down to is institute like things that work. Like there are periods of time during the day that you're taking breaks, like everyone disperses, does their own thing, has like expansion from the contraction of working. Like these pauses throughout the day are part of what like creates space for creativity for the children, but also grounding opportunities for the parents. So there's a pressure release throughout the day. This is probably the first thing that I went back to when my kids came home and started doing distance learning. I was like, oh, that's what it was. When we homeschooled, there were several times throughout the day, which were leave mommy alone, or, you know, personal time, or reading time, or outside time, or painting time, whatever it was. But like those structures are what kept everybody in their right state of mind. Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm going to agree with both of you there. I think for all these amazing parents that are out there really trying to do the best that they can with what they have, I think it's important to remember that this is temporary and take a breath. I actually have been on morning on professional development and getting us as teachers, part of the county, ready for what they call phase 2 that's officially starting on Monday. And what that technically means, it's just there's more official business going to take place, such as attendance and gradings and things of that matter. But what's also important to know, and they're even telling us as teachers, is that basically take it easy. Take it easy. It's okay. This doesn't have to be exactly the way kids were getting it at school, or exactly how for lack of a better word, real homeschooling would be, right? With like what Barbie was saying, with the curriculum planning and the creativity. And like Ali said, with the breaks in between and the field trips that you would take kids on normally. This is your home all the time. And not only are you home all the time, which is already different to begin with, but many parents are trying to do their own work completely separate from their kids. So I agree. And I think routine is number one on the list, because in that routine, what you're going to do is schedule time for your kids to do what they got to do, but also for you. And I think conversation is really important, whether you have little ones at home or big ones. Converse. This is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to look like, so that expectations are out. And then everybody's holding each other accountable, right? And it's not kind of like fly by the seat of your pants. Today, you do this. What do you have? Did you check? You know, so I want to put a message out there. First and foremost, I thank every single one of my colleagues, my fellow teachers, my administration, and even the district for putting out what they put out today for us to watch and to remind us to also take it easy. This doesn't have to be perfect. This doesn't have to be exactly the way maybe that homeschool mom would do with all the creativity and curriculum. Don't compare yourself to others. Everybody's situation is different. Do what works for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that balancing between healthy and overboard.
Yeah.
Myra, did you want to add?
Yeah, I agree with Linda. Communication is key, and it's also asking your child what they need. Like, I know this, and acknowledging the fact that this is a transition, not only for them, but for you, and that to give it grace as you transition, because there's already the stress of like, all this stuff is going on, all this stuff is going to affect us. And now we have to be in close quarters for a longer period of time. So what would honor you best? What would you like from this? And then have a clear communication between the two parties, so that you guys know what you need in order to make this as a best scenario, best case scenario. So, I mean, I think that the communication is key, and letting them know that it's an adjustment on both ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you make a really good point, Myra, and this is a good segue to jump into actually what the kids are experiencing. So let's dive into the perspective from the kids' standpoint of, this whole new world that they're experiencing now. And, how to set expectations, like some of you mentioned. What are some healthy tips or ways that you would approach it, or that you would say would work to actually set the expectations with kids, actually help them navigate this time? What are some things that come up for you guys?
I think, excuse me, I think that in thinking about the kids, sometimes it's so important to put ourselves in their shoes. And we may be getting a lot of information via the news, via other media. We have some ability, hopefully, to filter that. They're getting partial sound bites, they're getting clips, maybe they're walking into a room where the news is on. They're not having a complete perspective. So I think that if we put ourselves into their shoes, there's a couple of things. One is what you already talked about. We were talking about routine just a little bit, and the balance. Definitely some sense of routine to help them feel a little bit of normal, in as much as is possible. But the other thing that I think is really important, and I've actually only probably in the last few years come to understand it more. I really wish I had known this a long time ago. And that is that we do, as the adult, it seems obvious, but let's face it, we don't always, know all the obvious things, right?
Common sense isn't always common, yeah.
Right? No, and especially if you've grown up in some sort of dysfunctional situation, which is 100% of all of us, that really the adult, I don't want to say the mom, because it could be a dad, it could be whoever the adult in the home is, even if it's the oldest sibling that's taking care of the younger ones, really does set a tone. And you really do set a tone. And if you didn't grow up knowing how to regulate your emotions, I didn't. I mean, a lot of us didn't. So then as adults, we might be like just being very reactive to everything in front of the kids. They don't know how to regulate yet, especially the younger ones.
Yeah.
They're going to regulate off of you. So it's kind of like, the stock market goes up and down and people go up and down with it. As parents, if we're super connected with our kids emotionally, and they're watching us, they're regulating off of us. If I'm going like this, they're actually doing that too. They might not say it, but internally they are. So just finding a way to, I know others have talked about it, set some time apart to regulate yourself, to do whatever you can, whether it's breathing, reading, eating a brownie, I don't know, but whatever, helps you, just like breathe, just without. And I'm trying to be really careful because people don't need guilt. This isn't about guilt. This isn't about, I got to be a perfect mom. No, there has to be authenticity. Like, they know you're scared. They know you're nervous. They pick it up. They might not be able to use the words, but they pick it up. Mm-hmm. So what happens is, if you're struggling, because a lot of people are struggling right now with financial questions and with what's going to happen. Do I have a job? Do I not have a job? If I have a business, am I still going to have a business? How do I take care of my employees? All those things. The kids, again, they're picking it up. They don't have words for it. So I just feel that it's really important to be aware and try to put yourself in their shoes, not try to be perfect, but just remember, they don't know how to regulate. So what'll happen is, this happened to me many, many years ago when we were struggling really badly with some things. I walked into the room and saw one of my children crying. This child was only about 5 years old, and I'm like, what's wrong? And they said, I don't know how we're going to pay all our bills. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, so I'm just saying, try to put yourself in their shoes a little bit, and that's really helpful.
So self-regulating yourself will allow the opportunity for them to regulate to you.
A little bit, yeah. And being authentic with them, like, let them know, oh, mommy is feeling just a little nervous right now. I'm just feeling a little scared. Let the steam off little by little so that they're aware of it, so there's a name to it.
And I would also like to add, like, that was key to, like, asking them, how do you feel? Mm-hmm. Like, how do you feel today? And then asking them, what do they think is going on? So that you're getting the information as to how they're processing what's going on, and then being honest with the child. I mean, obviously age appropriate, as to where you are and where you feel, and being honest and letting your child know that you're human. Like, mommy's scared like you. And then, if they feel like crying, letting them know it's okay to feel those feelings, because they learn from us. So if we're suppressing our feelings and they know we're suppressing our feelings, they're gonna mirror that. They're gonna mirror the, like, oh, I know mommy's scared, but she's hiding it, and I'm going to do the same thing. So, like, I think this is a perfect time to give the message, what, you know, and not identify certain feelings as male or female, because we've done that for so long. And letting our boys, our girls, anybody know at any age, it's okay to be scared, it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel, and that it's okay to express that in their home, so that we can all feel those feelings and like release them versus suppress them. And I think that's important, especially now more than ever.
I agree with that. I think that really weighs heavily on that whole conversation, communication piece we were talking about earlier. And I think as a family, right? As families, you know, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, whoever's in the house with these children, I think it's important to have those conversations. And I know that even sitting here and us talking about it and knowing it, there may still be parents out there that are thinking, how in the world do I even talk to my students, listen to me, my kids, about this kind of stuff? Because sometimes we can't find the words. Like Barbie was saying, we think an adult brain, right? So sometimes there are parents who talk to their kids like they would talk to a friend because they don't know any better. And it's not that it's wrong, it's just that our kids don't necessarily understand everything that we're saying, and then they feed off our energy, and then maybe the message is misconstrued. So I would invite parents to go online. There are resources that have kid-friendly articles, right? Current event kid-friendly articles that maybe can explain to them what's going on currently in a way and in language that they can maybe understand. And then maybe that's something that parents can read with their children and then discuss it afterwards, kind of ask them questions. Hey, so what did you think about that? Was there anything about that article that maybe you didn't understand? Do you have any questions about that? And kind of open that line of, again, communication, of speaking, and just hearing where they're at. Sometimes as parents, we want to just assume that we know what they're feeling. Oh, they're kids. They don't even realize what's going on. And that couldn't be further away from the truth, not only during this time of uncertainty, but at any point in time. They feed off our ever waking moment of energy and thoughts and actions they observe. So I think that it's important for parents to be okay with talking to them and not being afraid of how to talk to them, because there are resources out there that can help you find the words that maybe your kids will understand a little bit better.
And I want to add something. So we talked about, you know, the adults, the parents self-regulating. I cannot tell you how important it is that everyone express what is coming up, because if you shove it down, your kids are going to shove it down. And there are ways as adults to express that are constructive, whether it's taking some time to write and like write all the stories, write all the noise that's in your head, like do a brain dump, journal, get it out, so that you can be present for the children as they need you, because they're having their own expression. Like some children are angry. They're angry. They miss their friends. They don't like this new rhythm, and they're sticking their feet in the mud. So how is that showing up in your life? How are you sticking your feet in the mud, being pissed off? And when we start to take the time to, you know, regulate or express, release it, whether it's, you know, step into another room, call a friend, or sit with your partner and just like, this is all the stuff that's coming out. It's yucky. It's ugly. Like, blah, get it out. And then go back to the family and be fully present and ask questions from a place of wonder, which is essentially what Linda is saying. Like, we don't know. We think we know. And when it comes down to it, there might just be one little thing that we don't know that would make the world of difference if we brought presence to it. And setting the tone of the house can happen as well, like being really intentional as adults when you wake up in the morning, like, what do I want to create in this home today? I want to create joy, laughter, connection, whatever it is. And watch how even just from that place, creating intention of what the day is going to look like, it starts to show up. And the kids start to pick it up. And then you start to see when it's not in alignment, you kind of course correct and keep going without guilt, without making yourself wrong. You're the beacon in the home as the parent. So you set the tone, which is what everyone said.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Yeah. And I think the consensus across the board is kind of like it's okay for the parents not to have all the right answers, you know? And also communicating is super important, setting expectations and also being present is I think something I heard along the line, you know, across the board. But with all that said, you know, let's get real. We're managing a household, we're managing work, kids, our relationships. And no one said it would ever be easy from the beginning. But even with everything that's going on now added on top of that, you know, and something that we never saw coming, that like Barbie said, we couldn't prepare for. We couldn't prepare the lesson plans and we couldn't prepare the routines and the schedules. So, you know, how do we get through this in one piece? You know, how are you guys coping? What are some things that you guys are maybe implementing or strategies or ideas that you've seen that might be helpful?
Patience. Patience. Write it down, put it on your fridge, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it
note.
in your car, excuse me, everywhere. Patience with yourself, with your kids, with your spouse, with your kids' teachers. Please, we're learning too. Just have patience. I think, gosh, if there's anything that parents could take away from this, is to have patience and give yourself a second. If you have to wake up 30 minutes before everybody else in the house has to wake up, to take a second with yourself, do so. Do it first thing in the morning. Do it right before you go to sleep. Take a minute. Let everybody know. I mean, you know what? I would even say set this as an activity for everybody to do. You know, take a second and just acknowledge that you're doing the best that you can with what you have, that this is temporary, and that it's going to be okay, and that you're doing a great job. Right? I think that for me, when you say that, and the reoccurring message I've been telling my parents when they're reaching out to me, I mean, my phone blows up. Oh my God, they couldn't get in the book. Oh my God, but it's okay. It's okay. We're going to be okay. Take a second. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you so much. So it's okay. Write that one too. Post it. It's okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. I just want to agree with that. I mean, you know, it's okay. You know, fear not. I don't know how many ways to say it. Not that everything's going to be rosy. There's terrible things happening. There's tremendous suffering. And if we spent all day thinking about it, especially those of us that are empaths, I mean, this would be a really, we'd all be little melted blobs right now. But the truth is that we're going to make it through. We really are. It's going to look different. It's going to be unusual. And this is a time we don't like it, but we're here. So we might as well take advantage of it and try to have that sense of peace and wonder. I know it's ridiculously, for some people, difficult. And we haven't even talked about the ones that have teenagers at home. And what's happening there, that's a whole different thing. But regardless, I think that for me anyway, going back to my basics that we all kind of, I think to some degree understand, but just remembering it's still about the basics. 1 + 1 is still 2. It's still about take some time for yourself. Take a little time. And what Ali said earlier, that used to be key to me as well, little breaks in the day to blow off steam. I used to set my, you know, I'd go maybe for 15 minutes and read a book behind my kitchen counter and hide from everybody. Whatever it takes, patience and taking time for yourself just to regroup. It's incredible how much 10 minutes of silence or peace or staring at a flower will do for you.
Beautiful. I want to also acknowledge something that we haven't really gotten into, which is the parents who are still working at home. If you are blessed to still be able to work from home, how do you do that and, you know, take care of the kids and make sure they're taken care of? And sometimes it looks like dividing up time. Mm-hmm. If there's mom and dad or partner or whatever, like, first get clear, you're not going to be as productive as you were before your kids were in school. Just let it go. You are not going to be as productive. You are still valuable and you are still powerful. And your day may look like from the morning until noon, you have the kids. And from noon until the dinner time, you know, someone else has the kids, or just being straight with the children. If you're one-on-one is, you know, I will help you, and I am also going to do my work, and we're going to work together, and we can have a conversation, and I'm going to write on a post-it, these are the times that I'm on video with my clients. So if you don't know the answer to your questions, put a little star by it and we'll go back to it, or go play. Like maybe those times when the children, when you have to work, that's playtime for the kids. Like they need play, and I can't stress it enough. They need unstructured time. They need play. That might be your work time. So being flexible about when you work, how it looks, or when they get their schoolwork done. Like if you have clients scheduled, that's your work time. But maybe that's their playtime outside, or maybe that's their baking, or whatever they need to do. So that's a huge thing. And have your own morning routine, please. As parents, have your own morning routine. And it might look like hiding in the bathroom and reading. It might look like, I'm going to go get dressed, and then you disappear for 30 minutes in your bedroom to read or meditate or whatever. You know, just, you have to do it for yourself. You can't support anybody with an empty cup.
Yep.
You know, it's that put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yes. Yes.
100%.
And although, like, I think that right now we're in a time that we hear a lot, it's going to be okay, and this is but I think it's okay not to be okay. And I think it's okay for us to let our kids know when we're not okay, and when they're not okay, and how can we support that feeling of uncertainty, because there are going to be questions that we want that we don't know, and that they're going to want to ask us that we don't know. And I think that there's been times that, you know, kids look at parents like, my mom knows all the answers, or my dad knows all the answers, or my grandmother knows all the answers. And we need to let them know by example, like, we don't know all the answers, just like you, sometimes we don't know. And it's okay not to know. And how can I support you when you don't know? How do we set boundaries in order to respect their space, what they need at that moment? Maybe they need to read a book, or write, or create art, or maybe they need to express themselves in a way where they don't want us hovering over them. You know, they need time to process. And then we also have the opportunity to let them know, hey, mommy's processing right now. Let me think about that while you think about that. And then let's get back together in 5 minutes, or, you know, it depends on the age bracket that we're talking about. But I think that a lot of times people give us answers, and each family or each, you know, individual needs a certain type of support. So it's not a cookie cutter answer for everyone. It's, let's treat each child, even though they're under the same roof, with what they need, you know, what they need, and like, let them know what we need. And let's give those clear, like, again, we're going back to communication. Let's make that communication clear that, okay, when mommy feels this way, I'm going to take 5 minutes to do this, and let them know it has nothing to do with them, because, you know, we're in an environment now that everything's personal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's something that we're processing, and letting them know to honor and their process, and communicate that with us as well. So I think that when it comes to I don't know and I'm not okay, that to let them know that it's okay not to be okay, because it'll pass if we allow that emotion.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It's just relating to what she said about the internal communication within the household, that and I go back to the teenager situation or the older child, if you have non-neurotypical kids in your home now, that's a whole other thing as well. And when you're raising either kids that have ADHD or some other type of just difference, superpower, whatever you want to call it, that's also something where you have to kind of be really listening for what their communication is coming from them towards you, you know. And you may sense, or what may happen is, for example, you have a teenager who is ADHD, and suddenly that routine that they had in school where they had to sit in a classroom for 40 minutes or something, and it was okay for them because it was a marker in their day, a routine, and now that's gone. So they may be panicking inside about, oh God, you know, and if you see them being sullen, you see them behaving a certain way, and it could be that they're not being difficult or antagonistic. It could be they're panicking inside and they don't know how to express that, because now they're like, oh my God, I don't have my markers for my day. I screw up anyway. Now I'm going to screw up even worse. So again, just being sensitive to every type of child, to emphasize, what we just said about everybody being an individual.
Absolutely.
And how important would you guys say is routine?
Very important.
I think it's very strong.
I think it's what's gonna it's what's gonna keep everybody grounded day to day, right? When we have that routine, we know what to expect. And to kind of piggyback on what Barbie was saying, when you have these children that learn differently, and again, parents may not understand exactly how to deal with that. And that's when you bring in that patience again, right? When you have to have that patience, because the teacher is usually the one in class knowing what to do, when to do, what to say, how to do, right? So I think what's really important here when we talk about communication to parents is communication with your child's teacher. They're the ones who do this day to day. So if you're sitting there as a parent with a child who learns differently, or maybe has a different quality about them and how they can better get the material or the curriculum that's on there, shoot a message to your child's teacher. They're there to help you. To any teacher. I mean, I've put it out on my social media. I am more than happy to help any parent who just needs to understand how to maybe get that message across to their child. Because it is a different situation. It is different when they're home. They have a different expectation and mentality, the kids do. When they're home, it's us too, right? We act differently. When we go to a job and we sit in a desk, we're like, okay, our mind knows automatically this is what we're doing. As opposed to when we're home, it's a different vibe altogether. And I think that happens with the kids too. And I'm gonna go back to that word that I feel so strongly about. That's number one on my talking point list is patience. Have patience and communicate. Talk to your child's teacher. Tell them, listen, you don't give me an idea of how to get through to this kid, I don't know what's gonna happen. And I promise you that there's resources out there to help you get that information.
And what would you guys say is a good way, or not a good way, but a way to be able to implement that somewhat of a structure that they experienced in school, or that routine, in now this kind of more free-flowing environment, or maybe some ways that you guys have practiced in your experience?
I think the first thing is it's not going to be the same as school. So don't try to mimic it, period. Mm-hmm. If you have a child that's on the spectrum, sometimes physically writing the chart down of from this time to this time is this. Like if they need the structure, give them the structure. Other children need the rhythm. Like there's a distinction between rhythm and the routine. Like they need to know that after breakfast there's reading, and after reading there's computer time. But there's flex time in there. So it's getting clear about what the child needs, because some children need the numbers as the barriers and write it up on a wall and keep it there. And other children just need the rhythm. But I'm going to strongly say, do not try to mimic public schools. And I know Linda's going to agree. You cannot. And you can't expect it for yourself, and you can't expect it for the children, period.
Right. And I agree 110,000 gajillion times. Do not try to mimic. Do not try to mimic anything other than what works best for you, right? Don't try to mimic what happens in class. Don't try to mimic, your best friend mom that has it on lock. Don't do that, because then what you're going to do for yourself is have that frustration, right? In order to keep yourself grounded, you have to set something up that's going to work for your family. And I encourage you to do that beforehand, right? Not wait till the day and be like, okay, we're going to do this, that, and the other. No, take a second, maybe on a Sunday, maybe on a Monday, whatever day time works best for you. You kind of look at a couple days ahead. Doesn't have to be a week, because I know that could be a little overwhelming as well. Take a couple days, the next 2 days, and set that routine. And I like to say the word routine more than schedule, you guys, because like Ali said, it's that flow. Right? I think of schedule and I'm like, whoa, numbers and time and 30 minutes here and 5 minutes here. And it's that kind of thing. So I like routine. I like flow, right? Speak with your family, speak with your kids. Some parents out there have like 3-4 kids in different grade levels, different ages. I can't even begin to imagine, these parents who are trying to do that and their work at the same time. So I'm going to go with that, write it on the wall if you have to. Make it fun. You can buy clear contact paper and put it on a wall. Just kind of like spread it on a wall. Get yourself some dry erase markers and just write it. If you have several kids that can write on their own, have them write their schedule. Go. What are you going to do? What's going to work best for you? Right? And at least there's that reminder every day. There's that flow of this is what works for this person. It's not a one size fits all schedule for the entire family. It's, like someone else said, mommy time, daddy time, auntie time, big brother time, and like that, so that everybody can kind of flow with what is going to make them work best and keep them grounded.
On a really practical.
Also, sorry. Me? Okay. I think that we need brain breaks though. We need family fun breaks. So like in my house, it would probably be a dance party. Like I'd probably like, if I had one of those like loud things like, or cazuelas, whatever you want to do to set the alarm and let people know, like it's time to break it down. It's time. And imagine everybody coming out of their rooms. That would be an awesome video.
Oh,
of everybody just dancing or like screaming or doing whatever you want to release that, like however long you need it. If you need an hour of that, like let's just shake this out. I think that, and it would be something that like, it would kind of release, because if you're sitting down in front of a computer and everybody's like, and you feel the tension in the house because she's here and dad's here and grandma's there and little sisters, they'll be like, dance party, and like let everybody come out however they want. If it's a, if they want to theme a day, like, kind of mimicking what high schools do, like school spirit week, like, okay, grab your hat, grab your big bows, like, and just like, because I think that there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of stress. So like, I think that like fun time, like in the morning, there's a morning break and there's an afternoon break. And if you want to do a dance party at night, by all means, do a dance party at night. But like, I feel that that's super important, because yes, routine is important, but like schedule that, put that on as part of your routine as like mandatory. And maybe each person in the house decides what type of party we're going to have. Maybe it's puzzles, maybe it's a quieter thing. Maybe it's everybody goes to their corner and does a quiet crossword puzzle. But maybe I feel like it needs to be something physical just to get away from like, so that's all.
Yeah. And before you chime in, Barbie, I just wanted to announce to the audience, whoever's out there listening right now on this live, please, if you have any questions for the panelists, please send them in. We're waiting for your questions so we can have a few minutes at the end to answer those. So go ahead, Barbie.
Well, I was just going to say, actually perfectly segues from what was just said, was that on a practical level, some of the things, very, very practically speaking, I think of it as stepping stones through your day. Our goal is to wake up in the morning and make it to the evening and go to bed and still, I want to say not have killed anyone. Okay, it's probably the wrong thing to say, but basically that's our goal, right? So you have to stepping stone your way through the day. So with kids, again, they don't need 8 hours of school. Right. Usually if they're focused, 2 hours or 3 hours is enough if they're focused and they're learning. So you do the stepping stones and make sure that every now and then one of those stepping stones is a reward, whether it's that dance party, whether it's food, whether it's you go play with the puppy, you go outside. Have in between your stepping stones rewards. We're all motivated by rewards. So what does that look like? Let's say you have a little block schedule, which is what we're all talking about, kind of routine, kind of flow. So it's like a block routine, right? So you're going to say, okay, for 2 hours, 1 hour, 40 minutes, whatever, this is what each day looks like. And not too many, maybe 3 or 4. And depending on the age, this is a very short amount of time. We can't talk about every age group or anything, but definitely, either you determine it, or if they're older, they can determine. You have that. Then you have your, whatever learning needs to take place. Think about maybe theming or making a theme. Let's say your child is really into dinosaurs. Well, they can do math, they can do science, they can do phys ed, jumping around, whatever you want to do with them. They can do everything with the dinosaur theme, even with the school curriculum, right? Whatever the school gives you to do, the packets, shoot, turn it all into, you know, dinosaurs or flowers or astronauts, whatever they like, whatever their age.
Frozen, I think that's huge. With the
Right,
kids.
exactly. Or if they're older, it can be music. It can be, it's just endless. So if you have a theme that is interesting to them and you let them intersperse that theme throughout everything, you have blocks and stepping stones through your day, and you have enough rewards in between there. There's a good chance you're going to make it to the evening okay. Including, though, making sure, number one, people actually eat real food at some point during the day. It can be rice and beans, which is kind of my favorite, but whatever, you know, make sure people are eating and make sure they're staying hydrated.
Very
It's going to be
important.
annoying, but do that. Another practical thing, and I'll be quiet, is that you can just put a glass for each person in your house on one of your counters. You put a piece of tape in front that has the name of that person. They use that glass all day. They don't use 10 glasses, and they don't fill up the sink with 10 glasses. There's a lot of practical things you can do that are not expensive or even cost anything to help you just stay
Grounded.
Grounded.
So we have a question from the ether worlds. The question is, a lot of parents are sharing computers where they are working, and for kids to do their work. Any tips on how to manage this? Very good question.
I think, and this came up in my head, taking turns, obviously, and, you know, creating that routine, but also like maybe creating a hands-on training. So like if you're learning about science, or you're learning about, like, maybe there's something in the backyard that you can reference that, and they don't have to be on the computer, or maybe where you're printing out certain things from what they need, and they can reference that and do more like hands-on training versus being in front of the computer the whole time. So maybe it's a way to, like, you know, create like, okay, from this time to this time, this person has a computer, from this time to this time, but like printing out, making sure you have paper, you know, whatever that, you know, whatever they're learning, or, you know, whatever they're focused on, or maybe even tweaking it to where it still applies and they're doing hands-on. Because I think, at least for me, I learn by doing versus like, you know, either seeing or reading. So like when they put all those things together, they're using all their senses, and I think it becomes more real because then they're actually seeing how certain things work.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I did want to add is, first thing I'd say is, when is the parent the most focused, tuned in, productive? If working on the computer in the morning works better for them than the afternoon, well, parent gets priority. And like Myra said, like that's the time that either the night before or early in the morning, it's like, okay, so the child uses the computer in the afternoon, so all the worksheet stuff gets to get done during the morning when the adult is using the computer. And so fine tuning first, like when does the parent feel like they get the most out of their time, they can be efficient and so on, that's priority.
That's a great point. I also want to add to, as they work with their child, they'll see the strengths that their child has, and what are the assignments that may take them a little bit longer, what are the assignments that they can maybe do independently. I think this all kind of goes together with the breaks that you ladies were talking about earlier, and the fact of, I don't want parents to think that they have to finish everything in 2 or 3 hours at a time. Mm-hmm. Right? Barbie was talking about this. You know, the child has the opportunity to take the entire day to finish their assignment, and teachers are encouraged to kind of set the assignments for the week, actually. So that's kind of nice for parents too, to set that break time and that routine time so that they know when they work best and they can work on their individual jobs, and then their child can work independently during this time, or maybe like you said earlier, Ali, that's their outside time, their play time. Mm-hmm. So again, we come back to that routine of knowing maybe how your family works best. What does that child need help in? Do they really need the computer for this time? Oh man, they do need assistance, they need help, I'm gonna have to sit with them. So this is gonna be, maybe the child's gonna work with mom or dad at that point, and then the other parent is gonna be using the computer, or vice versa with the kids. So I think knowing everybody's strengths is definitely an important piece to making that flow.
Fantastic. And this, I mean, you know, This has been amazing, amounts of practical advice that people can implement in their homes. What would you guys say for each of you? I want each of you to chime in as to what would be one of the biggest pieces of advice for moms and dads out there right now that you would give?
Okay, so I'm going to repeat my word, patience, right? Have patience with yourself and your kids and your family. Take it easy on the pressures. Take note of the pressures you might be putting on yourself, right? Have your me time. Have that time where you kind of just breathe and say, okay, I'm going to do this and we're going to get done as much as possible. And if we need help, ask. Right? I think that's a huge piece of advice that I'd like to give parents. Ask for help. The resources are there. Your teachers, your child's teachers are there. If you don't have great communication with maybe one or two of them, reach out to others because they're there. I mean, heck, put a message on Facebook, SOS, and I promise you that somebody will be there to hold your hand.
I love that. And what I have to add kind of flows from there is going back to probably the hardest thing that I think overall as a society we're experiencing, which is this conversation of productivity.
Yes.
And it is not going to be the same. You do not have to be as productive as you were before. And productivity will look different, and you get to change the value of that in your life and in your home. And from that place, there's this level of first sincere discomfort in letting that begin to shift, to surrender to like a deeper level of we are not responsible for everything, which as a parent is probably the most gut-wrenching experience. Is we're not responsible for every waking moment. There is a level of trust and a level of release and expansion that we get to allow to come in and shift our experience for ourselves and our kids.
Yeah.
I guess I would say the number one thing I think for me would be to encourage parents, grandparents, caregivers, whoever is dealing with this right now, is to trust your gut. I think, we have a sense of our own children. We have a sense of, we just do. Not everybody has the same level of that, of course, but ultimately they're yours, they're in your home, and you're stuck with each other right now. So just trust yourself. You're doing it, you're doing your best. And as long as you're doing your best, I believe that you're going to be okay. Just do your best, but have that sense of confidence. Trust yourself. Don't second guess yourself continuously about, are you a terrible parent? Any of that. Just trust yourself and have that sense of it's going to be okay. I got this. That might be easier said than done, but and along that, if you need help, trust a couple of friends. I never would have been able to raise my kids without a couple of friends that just really were amazing to me, especially when they were littler.
Absolutely.
So I think that we need to laugh. I think we need to laugh along the way. I think we need to laugh at the process. I think we need to laugh at each other, but like in a playful way. I think that everything is so serious that like sometimes like things are funny. Like certain things are funny, and it's okay to laugh and be, and not necessarily be in doing, but just be and just laugh and just breathe. Because it's interesting. I'm not going to say it's hard, because I think it's as hard as we make it on ourselves. It's a transition, so it's awkward because we're creatures of habit. So therefore, when there's something different, we automatically put different with hard, and I don't think it needs to be that way. I think we can soften the edges and say, let's just be, let's just breathe, let's just laugh. Because how else are we going to get through this if we don't do those things?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can I add another point?
Yeah,
if you don't
please.
mind? Really quickly, talking about, how important it is to stay grounded and have communication and conversations. I just want to point out, on a more serious note, to be mindful of cybersecurity, right? So this has come up a little bit for us teachers, that there's a conversation going on with my coworkers, and I just want to remind parents that although we want to stay grounded and patient and casual about the whole thing, be really vigilant. Your kids are on the computer now way more than they usually are, than they typically are. It's not that you have to be, staring at their screen at the same time, but just, kind of have an ear open, maybe what kind of conversations they're having with Zoom meetings, or what kind of things, and, walk around, kind of take a peek, because this is going to be a very fragile time, I guess, with a lot of our younger students, children being online for this more often than not. So parents, just take a peek, and if there's something that you're not sure about, ask. Let's keep our kids safe.
Yeah, and that leads us to our last point, which we want to take home is, what are some, like, the biggest takeaways that you would say, or the biggest takeaway, or maybe the biggest lesson that you yourself have learned through this process with your own kids, that you would leave with the parents out there today, to take with them and actually implement?
I'd say take breaks. Absolutely. For your own personal headspace. Move your body, because you need to move your body. So if it looks like take turns going for a walk, you can do it as a family, but move your body. Absolutely. Because all that tension, fear, anger, upset, all that stuff is getting shoved into your body, and moving it will just keep you clear. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, what Linda is always saying, and I wrote it really big on my Post-it, patience, and honestly, gentleness with yourself and where you're at.
There's 3 words that come to mind. It's create, play, and communicate. So I feel like create it could be anything. Like, what have they always wanted to learn? What have they always wanted to do? And you as an adult, share those things and see how you can do them either individually or as a group. That's, it could be art, it could be so many things. It's just, I think we need to express more. So maybe it's writing a poem, or writing a book, or singing, or dancing, or whatever. And playing, it could be from quiet games alone to as a family, as to doubling up. Maybe we're creating an opportunity where there's a bowl and there's, families throwing in whatever ideas they want to do for the day, and you pick, make it fun. Like, you're going to get to know your family a lot better. Yeah. And I think that in communication, one thing that came up super important for me is ask your child, what do they think that you do, so that they tell it to you. And then you can also tell them what you think they do. And then, like, it opens up an opportunity for you to clear and show them what you really do. Maybe they're close, maybe they're not. Maybe they want to be your assistant for the day. Like, communication is key, as Linda said in the beginning, because I think that it leaves too many things up for interpretation if we're not clear on our communication. So make sure not only that when you're communicating, make sure that they understand when they repeat that back to you. So, like, and playing, make sure you have those dance parties and record them. Yes. So I think that with those, at least for me, and from what the kids that are in our organization, and I feel like those 3 things, you're able to, like, adjust them to how it fits into your family and your routine.
Absolutely.
I would say my biggest or final thought on this is that right now we're all in a bit of a looking inward mode in many ways. We're in a self-preservation mode. And that's really important, especially we talked about emotional well-being, staying grounded, taking time for yourself. But in a very strange way that seems counterintuitive, reaching out is sometimes the best way for preservation. So I think we have to counteract a little bit of this this almost this mindset of just self-preservation. And I say, encourage our children, encourage our family to find ways to reach out, to see who needs help, to staying within the guidelines, whether it's, I don't know, maybe communicating through the internet to people you know that need encouragement or something, but that sense of serving others to counteract the fear and the self-preservation that can sometimes just get disproportionate in our lives. And so somehow we have to find a way to remember that it's not just about us, that we are a community and there's so many of us and we need to stay together and we can help each other and we can move forward. And I think that purpose can also help to have the hope through the day to make it to the next day.
Yeah.
So I think my biggest lesson here, you guys, is to look at this time as opportunity, right? What are the opportunities here? I mean, we are bombarded with the worry and negativity of the world if we just turn on the TV for a second or watch social media. But I think it's important for us to remember that this is also an opportunity to connect with family, with friends, with yourself. Maybe a time to check out what our new routines are going to be, because things are different, like Ali said. Things are not going to be the same. Embrace that and think to yourself, what can I do now that I couldn't do before because I was always going to 35 baseball practice, dance practice, volleyball, right? I don't have that now. What can I do? Can I do a dance party? Can I have puzzle time? Can I do this? Can I just sit and talk with my child or my husband or spouse or partner or my mom? I, for one, that's what I've grabbed because I've spent way more time with my family than I have in a while. And I am very, very grateful for the opportunity that this crazy time has given me.
And ladies, with that, I want to say that we're so grateful to all of you, to Allison, Linda, Barbie, and Myra, for taking time out of your very busy schedules to sit down with us and have this chat about how to be better parents, how to live happier lives, and just be more grounded. For those of you out there who found this valuable, and we hope that it brought a lot of value to your life, we're here to support you. And there's also ways to support us. So at the end of this video, on the bottom, you'll see ways that you could contribute to support any of the ladies that may have impacted you here today, or to support the organization in general. We're here to support you through this time. So keep an eye out every day at noon for our lunch breaks by Las Comadres. And we are very grateful to have been here today. And thank you again, ladies, for all your amazing support and information.
Thank you.
Las Comadres is a community of entrepreneurial women reclaiming sisterhood and uplifting each other in life and in business. Music for the Las Comadres podcast provided by Afro Beta. Learn more about our community and join us at lascomadres.club.
Do you dream about